Welcome to this episode of Shift Happens. My name is Matt Archer-Davis. I am the founder and managing director of The Bright Click.
My name is Sanjeev Jodia. I'm a business growth coach and mentor.
So we decided to come together to deliver a series of podcast episodes covering topics that kind of blend between Sanjeev's work as a business coach and my work as a business owner, trying to take some of the theory and combine that with some of the actual doing, which we hope that you guys will be able to relate to. And we thought we'd focus today on this episode around goal setting, about setting your destination. As a business owner myself, I know only too well that it's really easy to get consumed by your daily tasks, the day-to-day, the lurching from one thing to another. Suddenly you look and think, actually, what are my goals? What am I working towards here? What is the destination? And Sanjeev, something that you've obviously heard a million times before.
Yeah, absolutely right. Actually, it's the starting point of my engagement with business owners on the scale-up journey. The question is, what do you want? Why are you in business? Because quite often, you go into business for a whole host of different reasons. Accidental entrepreneur, get made redundant, get away from a bad boss, or there's some event that causes it. And you get busy just trying to pay the bills and get the business going. And quite often you don't stop and take stock of why you went into business in the first place.
Well, that accidental entrepreneur thing's funny, right? It absolutely applies to me and how I started my business. So, bad boss, exactly that. Wasn't happy in my previous role. Desperation, came across an opportunity to start my own thing, started it on my own, quickly got some help from other places, and suddenly I've got 3 or 4 employees and everything's moving at a lightning pace, and you don't stop to think at that point, do you? Actually, what am I trying to achieve? And I didn't think that at the beginning either. So it's a classic thing as well, I guess, and again, I'm guilty of this, of business owners not stopping to take stock and to reflect and to think, right, okay, what am I doing this for? What is the purpose of this? So let's talk a little bit about that. So there's a big difference, Sanjeev, between dreams and your aspirations, if you like, and then actual goals. Do you want to explain what the difference is?
Yeah, Matt, I've got a framework that I use. Is dreams, goals, plan, learn, act, and that's the framework for all the coaching we do. Because dreams are out there quite often quite vague, right? Which is great place to start, because often we set shitty small goals because we don't allow ourselves the opportunity to dream. You know what the enemy of a big goal is?
Go for it.
It's the how. We can get ourselves out of the goal because we think about the practicality, whether we've got the skills and the capability to achieve a goal. Wrong place to start. Because if a goal isn't big enough and doesn't require you to learn something new, acquire new skills, stretch yourself, it's not a goal, it's a task. So starting with what do I want out of life? Picture that life that you want 10 years out, 7 years out, whatever it is. In as much technicolor detail as you can, visualize it, verbalize it, and so on. Don't worry about the how yet, and set that as to give a bit of direction. Then we've got to take that and turn that into a set of goals that have got a time frame, that are quantifiable, that you can break down step by step towards that. Was it when Jack Kennedy said our mission is to land man on the moon? Did they know how to do it? No, it was a big vision out there without the how. But then they set about kind of, all right, what is it we need to do to achieve that? So for me, that's the difference between the dream and the goal. And then, Brian Tracy said, a goal without a plan is not a goal, it's just a wish. But we have to then take the goal and turn it into a plan. Make sense?
It makes total sense, doesn't it? And I think that's something that we've done at Growth Club. That's the point of the Growth Club exercise, is once a quarter we sit in a room and we take the overall vision, the overall plan, the overall dream, we break that down into bite-sized chunks so that we can achieve some goals across the next quarter. Each of those goals broken down into a series of tasks, right? And then you're measuring your success against it. And that's how you move forward, as opposed to just drifting aimlessly. And I found that personally, as a business owner, that I have lacked some purpose in my mission, if you like, overall, because you're just getting up, dealing with the emails, dealing with the phone calls, bringing in the business, working with your team, and you don't stop to take a look around and say, what have we done? What are we doing? But also, what are we working towards and what are we trying to achieve? And the same would apply in terms of sharing that with team, for example, Sanjeev, right? It's one thing to have a dream or a goal in your head. It's very much another thing, as you say, to verbalize it, to share it, and to make that a tangible thing, right?
Yeah, really important. The starting point is for you as the owner to have a vision, a mission, purpose, plan. But then you're not going to achieve that by yourself, right? So you're going to achieve that with and through the team. And if they're not aligned to that vision, if they don't have clarity on not just what the vision is, but why is it important, if they can't connect into that purpose, then you're going to get transactional behavior. They clock in, they clock out, they do a job, they get paid. But does that get the best out of them? Does that retain people for a long time? Does that get them to think about how do I contribute to that plan? No, it doesn't. So you're absolutely right about getting clear first, and then getting the team aligned to that. So I just want to talk about the process of alignment, because that really is the starting point. What do I mean by alignment? That's about aligning your personal goals for yourself, for your family, with the business goals. Because quite often, what I found is the personal goals get buried. We haven't thought about them. They're a bit of an afterthought. We're so busy in our business, we don't come up for it and say, why am I doing this? So my starting point would be, start with the personal goals. What do I want my life to look like in 10 years' time? Specifically, and what are the milestones to achieve that? Bit bigger house, savings to be able to invest in X, Y, Z, time to do the things that you're passionate about, and projects, hobbies, whatever. Get that right first. Then ask yourself the question: well, what does the business need to look like to support that? Once we've got clarity on that and we're aligned, then it's about who are the other stakeholders in my life, both personally, like life partner, family, etc., and your team at work. What do they want? And getting them aligned with that. So if we have clarity around that, the what and the why, then we step into the how, which is then turning those into goals and into specific plans. Then we talk about chunking up the plan so that you look at the 5 years out, where do I need to be? 3 years out, where do I need to be? To get there, where do I need to be in 1 year? And then the 1 year into 90-day cycles, because 90 days are made up of 12, 13 weeks. Long enough time to achieve something significant, short enough time to keep it in focus, because, setting a goal for a year, it's quite hard to keep that in focus. But then if we take care of that, then the weekly action is then connected to the long term, if we can drive that sort of goal setting, planning discipline.
Absolutely. So exactly that, and it's about keeping that goal, within your sight, and making sure that that's the overall thing that you're working towards, and setting those tasks. I find super useful. Especially at Growth Club, and reviewing what we're doing on a quarterly basis, and making sure that what we're doing quarterly is moving us towards the goal, which is what we're trying to do. Let's look at a real world example, Sanjeev.
Yeah.
You've mentioned to me previously about a bookkeeping client of yours who wanted more time with family, and so defined a profit target essentially to fund that schedule. How did they go about that? How did that all come about, and what was the outcome?
Bookkeeping, accounting client. I mean, I guess at the start of the relationship, they were buried in the doing of the work. I think she had 2 or 3 part-time staff, but she was involved in the delivery, doing the £15, £20 an hour bookkeeping, as well as the accounting, as well as trying to run and grow the business. And what happens, right? There's only so many hours that you can work. So there's a limit to using more hours as a lever. There's a limit to being able to take on more stress as a lever. So it was a question of sitting down and saying, what is it you really want? And why do you want it? And beginning with that end in mind, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, we put a roadmap together of how to get there. And once we did that, it was obvious to her that to get to those goals, she's going to have to give up something. And And what's the first thing to give up? Give up the 15, £20 an hour tasks. Still keep the £250 an hour as a senior qualified accountant, providing finance director level of advice and support. Keep that, but trade in the 15, £20 hour tasks and give yourself back more time, and then start using that time to grow the business, which is building the right team, putting in place the right systems, putting in place a management system to get the team to operate those systems to deliver to clients, and progressively doing more and more of that on the business work, so that you're effectively able to delegate in the business work, doing the various jobs in the business, so that you spend more and more time doing the MD job, the owner job, not the technician job. So that all started with mapping out the vision, mapping out the goals, mapping out the plan, and then just taking bite-sized steps to move towards that.
Fantastic stuff. It's great to hear. So to summarize then this particular part in terms of the goal setting, if you like, Sanjeev, that we are looking at here, the idea is essentially building using your business as a vehicle to achieve your life goals is a nice, succinct way of thinking about that, isn't it? It's basically, right, these are the things I want to achieve in my life. How do I use my business to achieve those things? I think as business owners, I can say personally that when I do stop and think like that, it makes a big difference to my world, because it gives me that purpose. It gives me that thing to work towards. And actually, when I look at my business, and I'm trying to work out how I can use my business to fund, if you like, or make my life goals happen, it gives me a renewed purpose for business. Like, for example, I want to go to America next year with my family. My sister-in-law wants to get married to my brother out there and all this kind of thing. And it's basically like, right, I need to make that happen. I can't just magic that money out of thin air. So what have I got to do within my business world to make that happen? It gives you that renewed purpose, that renewed focus, and it takes that day-to-day kind of lurching, if you like, out of the business, and it gives you, say, right, okay, will it make the boat go faster? Is a book that we've both read around the fact that, are the things that I'm doing today contributing to the thing that I'm trying to ultimately work towards? And if not, why not? And what do I need to stop doing? And what do I need to start doing? So can completely relate to that. And also the things I've achieved personally in my life across the last sort of 18 months, 2 years, I can equate that I did that by chunking down and working towards those goals that way. So in the next episode, we're going to talk about actually how you can get stuff done, how you can build these goals into your life, and how you can start ticking these things off, and the how essentially is what we're going to go into next. Before we do, is there any specific book that you might recommend in relation to goal setting and setting the destination and the stuff that we've covered on this episode so far?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn and Brian Tracy. Jim Rohn's 7 Strategies of Wealth and Happiness. There's a chapter there in goal setting. Everyone pick that up and run the process that he describes around goal setting to really get you thinking about what's important, why it's important, and then chunking it up into the 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, now sort of step. And on YouTube, you'll just find videos of Jim Rohn talking about goal setting. Brian Tracy is also a great resource to use. He wrote the book Eat That Frog, but he's also big on goal setting, so I'd go there. And for the business why, maybe Simon Sinek's name's gone out of my head.
Is it Find Your Why? Is that the one?
Find Your Why, yeah, that's right. He talks about the golden circle. There's a TED talk, 18 minutes, called the golden circle. That's a great resource to tap into.
For that, Sanjeev, that's great. So look, we'll wrap up today's episode there. As I say, in the next episode, we are going to be talking about how to chunk that down, how to do the how part. But in the meantime, Sanjeev, thank you very much as always for your input today, and see you next time.